It's late, it's late. Cha Siljang grumbled while driving. Sitting next to him, Inseop apologized in a small voice, I'm sorry. No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's just my habit. Cha Siljang replied while changing lanes. Inseop had forgotten to leave the van keys at the guard post due to the chaotic incident that happened yesterday. Cha Siljang had to wait for Inseop, who had the keys, to arrive by taxi, causing an unexpected delay. Cha Siljang, usually strict about punctuality, saw the bruises on Inseop's face and decided not to say anything. When asked about them, Inseop only said he had fallen. Knowing the rough side of the industry, Cha Siljang silently patted his shoulder, making Inseop feel even more grateful. Li Wuyan really hates being late. Yes. If you want to keep working, remember this, never be late. Seriously, where is he? He's texting again. Cha Siljang made a face as his phone vibrated. Inseop stared out the window, trying to avoid thinking about the possibility that something terrible might have happened to KNovel. When the van reached the underground parking lot of Li Wuyan's residence, Inseop's face had turned pale from the growing anxiety. You're late. Li Wuyan said as he opened the door and got in. Sorry. Traffic was bad. At this time, it's always bad. Despite his calm tone, knowing Li Wuyan's temper made Cha Siljang sweat as he eagerly explained. No, it was worse than usual. Maybe there was an accident or something. I accidentally took the car key home yesterday, so we were delayed. Inseop confessed before Cha Siljang could stop him with a look. Really? That's unusual for someone so meticulous. Li Wuyan replied, taking out his script casually. Okay, let's go. Cha Siljang decided it was best to end the topic there and started driving. His phone vibrated again. What now? Why is the old man calling at this hour? Seeing that it was Kim Deepyo calling, Cha Siljang gestured for Inseop to answer. Answer it, Inseop SSI. Me? Should I? Given the time, Kim Deepyo's call was likely about KNovel. Inseop, not skilled at pretending, found it hard to fake ignorance. I'm driving, and there's no hands-free. Just answer it. Hurry. Inseop glanced at Li Wuyan in the backseat, who was still calmly reading his script. This was a crucial moment. He had to act normal. Inseop took the phone and answered. Yes, this is Cha Hyungai's phone. Is Cha Siljang there? The voice on the other end was urgent. Hearing it, Inseop broke out in a cold sweat. Yes, he's driving. You can tell me, and I'll relay it. Is Li Wuyan there too? Yes, he's just got in. Okay, put it on speaker. Inseop glanced at Cha Siljang, who nodded, understanding the severity in Kim Deepyo's voice. Inseop put the call on speaker. Where are you now? Where do you think? We just left Li Wuyan's place and are heading to the set. Before Cha Siljang could finish, Kim Deepyo began to speak rapidly. It's a disaster. KNovel was attacked yesterday and is now in the hospital. The press hasn't got wind of it yet, but it's only a matter of time. It's complete chaos. Damn it, what are we going to do about the drama? This is a disaster. What? Startled, Cha Siljang accidentally stepped on the gas instead of the brake, causing the van to jolt over a bump. Inseop, slow to react because of his injured hand, hit his head on the ceiling. Are you okay? Li Wuyan frowned slightly, asking Inseop. He nodded, while Cha Siljang gestured for quiet and pulled the van over. Deepyo-nim, what did you say? Please, calmly explain. Drink some water first. Cha Siljang yelled, and they heard the sound of Kim Deepyo drinking water over the phone. Ha! So I heard it indirectly from the company head, but the sure thing is that Ken Youngmo is in the ICU. Inseop felt his face drain of color. ICU. Maybe he should have called 911 directly from his cell phone instead of looking for a public phone. Is he badly injured? Not life-threatening. He had emergency surgery last night and is recovering, but he hasn't regained consciousness yet. Recalling the blood on the ground, Inseop's hands trembled. In the back seat, Lee Wuyan clicked his tongue and folded his script. How did it happen? I don't know. If the police knew, they wouldn't be just sitting around. What do we do now? What's the plan? Cha Siljang asked. I don't know. The director must have been informed. Even if we go to the set, there's nothing we can do right now. How can they shoot in this situation? Damn it, what is this? What exactly happened to Ken Youngmo? An anti-fan? A stalker? I said I don't know. If it was an anti-fan, they would be a complete lunatic. They hit him with a brick from behind. At that point, Kim Dipyo seemed to realize something and abruptly stopped talking. The same thought crossed Cha Siljang's mind. Cha Siljang glanced at Lee Wuyan, who looked tired. Lee Wuyan. Kim Dipyo called out with a trembling voice, and Lee Wuyan leaned forward to answer. Yes, Dipyo Nim. I'm listening. Surely. It can't be. It mustn't be. Don't worry. The cryptic conversation ended with Cha Siljang clearing his throat to interrupt. Dipyo Nim, let's discuss this further at the office. Fine. Come to the office right now. The call ended. Cha Siljang disengaged the handbrake and started driving. The ride to the office was silent, broken only by Cha Siljang's occasional sighs. Inseop stared out the window, trying to steady his resolve. This is just the beginning. When they arrived at the office, which was still empty, they turned on the lights and soon Kim Dipyo came running in, dressed unusually casually in a tracksuit and a cap. Seeing this, Cha Siljang understood the gravity of the situation. Inseop, wait here for a moment. Kim Dipyo said to Inseop before leading Cha Siljang and Lee Wuyan into his office. Once the door was closed, Kim Dipyo turned around. Lee Wuyan. It was you, right? What are you talking about? Lee Wuyan sat on the sofa with an innocent expression. Who else could it be but you? Why would Ken Youngmo suddenly be attacked from behind? Who knows? Maybe he was mugged, Lee Wuyan replied nonchalantly. It was an abnormal reaction considering that a fellow actor he was filming a drama with had been attacked and was now in the ICU. Not even a single word of concern for Ken Youngmo came out of his mouth, not even as an empty gesture. Do you think a mugger would attack a celebrity in the middle of the city? Maybe it was a crazy mugger. Lee Wuyan smiled. Did Ken Youngmo make you mad? Kim Dipyo asked directly. Ken Youngmo does have a knack for annoying people, Lee Wuyan admitted. Right, exactly. He got on your nerves, didn't he? Ken Youngmo is pretty unlikable, isn't he? Kim Dipyo, trying to contain the situation before it got worse, coaxed Lee Wuyan. He spits a lot when he acts, he has bad breath, a terrible temper, he's arrogant, and is insufferable. As Lee Wuyan counted off Ken Youngmo's faults on his fingers, Kim Dipyo nodded vigorously, his face turning ashen. Right. I get it. Ken Youngmo has a nasty temper, I know that too. So, in a fit of anger, you fought, and it ended up like this, right? Huh? I didn't fight with him. Lee Wuyan shot him a sharp look. Are you saying I fought with Ken Youngmo? Who said that? Things were fine yesterday. If you need witnesses, I can bring in everyone who was there. Then why did you attack Ken Youngmo? Lower your voice. Someone might hear you. Cha Siljang gestured for Kim Dipyo to quiet down. Kim Deepyo pounded his chest and grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge, drinking it in gulps. Let's start over, Kim Deepyo said, placing his hands on the desk and trying to calm himself down. So you're saying it wasn't you? Of course not. Why not? Deepyo Nim, I'm a member of this agency. Why don't you believe me? Lee Wuyan said, sounding genuinely aggrieved. Cha Siljang and Kim Deepyo both bit their lips in frustration. Would you believe you if you were us? Let's make this clear. It wasn't you. It wasn't me. Then who is it? How would I know? A mugger. There are a lot of muggers targeting drunk people these days. Yesterday, Sunbei drank a lot. He was so drunk he couldn't even stand properly. He sent his manager home and said he'd handle things himself. If I'd known this would happen, I would have stayed with him. Since when did you care so much about your Sunbei? Let's say I started caring yesterday. It was a chilling response. Kim Deepyo pressed his temples with his fingers and shook his head. Are you really sure? If an article comes out by mistake, we are screwed. If it's a fight between men, we can cover it up, but hitting someone from behind can't be excused. Are you sure it wasn't you? Cha Siljang asked, seeking confirmation. I told you it wasn't. We are about to be listed on Kosdaq. If something happens, it won't just be you going down, I'll go down with you. Kim Deepyo said with a pale, rigid face. Do you think a criminal wouldn't check CCTV before attacking a famous celebrity? If they didn't check, they deserve to get caught. It's him. He's the culprit. Kim Deepyo and Cha Siljang's faces twisted in frustration. Then call the director. Let me know if there's anything I need to know. Lee Wuyan stood up. With no energy left to argue, Kim Deepyo waved him off. Insiup, sitting alone in a corner of the office, stood up abruptly when he saw Lee Wuyan coming out of the representative's office. How did it go? Is Ken Youngmo okay? I don't know. I haven't heard the details yet. He's not dead, right? Of course not. Lee Wuyan preferred to avoid creating unnecessary trouble. While yesterday's incident could potentially cause trouble, getting rid of Ken Youngmo felt like removing a painful thorn. It felt refreshing and satisfying. And above all, what if he's seriously hurt? Seeing Insiup looking pale and worried, Lee Wuyan reached out and grabbed his chin. Did you put ointment on? Huh? You have a bruise. Insiup blinked in fear as Lee Wuyan's hand touched him. Feeling like he was tormenting a small animal, Lee Wuyan momentarily reminisced. When he pressed on Insiup's cut lip, Insiup winced and grimaced. Seems like you didn't put any on. What if it leaves a scar? I'm fine. I'm not fine with it. After saying that, he genuinely felt uneasy. To cut through all the complex emotions, he simply didn't like seeing Insiup hurt. It wasn't about ruining a pretty face. He'd seen countless beautiful faces in the entertainment industry, and Insiup's looks didn't particularly stand out. His round nose, freckles, and disproportionately large eyes for his small face gave an impression of anxiety. Objectively, he didn't have a particularly beautiful face. But seeing it blemished stirred an unpleasant feeling. There's ointment in that cabinet. Yes, understood. But, Hesitating, Insiup finally spoke. Do you think Ken Youngmo will really be okay? Lee Wuyan sighed softly. Do you like Ken Youngmo? What? Didn't you dislike him? Caught off guard, Insiup stammered a reply. I don't really like him, but I don't exactly. I mean, I don't hate him. Of course, I don't like him. Discussing whether he liked or disliked someone who was lying injured felt uncomfortable. He didn't like Ken Youngmo, but he didn't wish for his death or severe injury. People might think you're a fan of Ken Youngmo. You seem very concerned. Well. Li Wuyan waited patiently for Inseop's next words. It's just we know each other. Inseop felt guilty, thinking his delayed call might have worsened Ken Yunmo's condition. The fact that his desire for revenge had endangered someone weighed heavily on him throughout the journey. Really, Inseop, you're... Seeing Inseop lower his eyes gloomily, Li Wuyan narrowed his eyes and smiled. Not knowing what he was about to say, Inseop felt his heart race with anxiety. Inseop. Inseop. Director Kim opened the door to his office and called Inseop's name as he stepped out. Yes, Director. For now, give them a call here. What happened to your face? Director Kim asked, shocked upon seeing Inseop's face. In the chaos earlier, he hadn't even thought to check on him. I fell. Fell? That looks more like you got hit. Did someone hit you? Director Kim glanced at Li Wuyan. Knowing Li Wuyan, he wouldn't put it past him to hit someone out of spite and play it off as an accident. When their eyes met, Li Wuyan subtly squinted, indicating he didn't appreciate the misunderstanding. He hasn't even applied any ointment, Li Wuyan said. You should apply some. You don't want scars on your face. Exactly. It's worrisome, Li Wuyan added. Director Kim looked at Li Wuyan as if he had heard something he shouldn't have. Li Wuyan smiled and asked, why? Worrisome. Of course, it's worrisome. He's my lifesaver. Inseop saved my life 3 times. Oh, no. That's not true, Inseop quickly denied, waving his hands. The burden he felt every time Li Wuyan mentioned him as a lifesaver was indescribable. He would soon leave Korea and expose Li Wuyan's secrets, yet here he was, being called a lifesaver. A lifesaver indeed. If it were a woman, marriage would be expected in such cases. Right, Director. Director Kim looked at Li Wuyan, stunned. He couldn't very well say in front of Inseop that he was glad Inseop was a man. Well, anyway, Inseop, call here and answer the reporters appropriately after the article comes out this morning. Inseop pulled out his notebook, wedged a pen between his injured fingers, and calmly wrote down his tasks. It's going to be hectic for a while, so stay alert. Don't let any unnecessary information slip. You've managed the media well so far. Director Kim muttered bitterly as he handed some papers to Inseop. Li Wuyan clapped his hands as if he had remembered something. Don't put the pen away yet. You need to sign. Sign. Sign the contract. Have you thought about it? Yes. Flustered, Inseop dropped the pile of papers. He desperately tried to avoid eye contact with Li Wuyan as he picked them up. Li Wuyan picked up a sheet that had fallen near his feet and handed it to Inseop. Are you still thinking about it? Yes. There's no need to think too hard. Don't like the contract terms. We can increase your salary. What? Director Kim exclaimed. The terms of the 3-year contract Li Wuyan had demanded were already generous to the point of being extravagant. Even manager CHA had commented that it might be best not to show it to anyone else because of the high salary. And now he was talking about increasing it even more. Has he gone mad? Seeing the shock on Director Kim's face, Li Wuyan softly reassured him, Director, what's money when you can have good people by your side? He's hit people before, too. Li Wuyan swallowed his true thoughts and smiled slightly. Ken Yunmo being an obstacle was one thing, but seeing him constantly harass Inseop had irked Li Wuyan. During a drinking session, while Ken Yunmo was in the bathroom, the staff, intoxicated, had shared stories. They said Ken Yunmo was so harsh on other actors' managers that at least one would quit after every drama shoot. Li Wuyan had laughed along, but that's when he decided Ken Yunmo had to go. If you have a desired salary, let me know. I'll discuss it with the director and increase it. No, the current offer is more than enough. More than enough. Inseop felt grateful and apologetic for everything he received here. Director Kim and manager CHA treated him exceptionally well compared to other managers, simply because he managed Lee Woo-yeon. He felt undeserving of their kindness, knowing he'd soon leave without reciprocating properly. "So when are you going to sign?" Lee Woo-yeon didn't seem to entertain the possibility that Inseop might refuse. Inseop mumbled an unclear response and quickly left the room. Director Kim clicked his tongue and teased Lee Woo-yeon, "Looks like you got rejected." "It seems like Inseop doesn't want to sign." "That's impossible. If he was going to sign, he would have done it the day he got the contract, don't you think?" Director Kim's comment was half-joking. He expected Lee Woo-yeon to laugh it off as usual. However, Lee Woo-yeon stood there in silence. Sensing something was off, Director Kim turned to look at Lee Woo-yeon and gasped. Lee Woo-yeon's face was expressionless, devoid of any emotion. Usually, Lee Woo-yeon maintained a facade of various expressions, making it easier for people to interact with him despite knowing his true nature. But this face was different. It was chilling. Director Kim felt as though he was glimpsing a moment when Lee Woo-yeon was no longer human. "Of course not. Inseop is my fan," Lee Woo-yeon said, his face lighting up again. Director Kim exhaled deeply, finally feeling like he was talking to a living person. "Right. But about Kang Young-mo?" Director Kim and manager CHA sat in the office, brainstorming how to handle the situation. If Lee Woo-yeon had indeed attacked Kang Young-mo from behind, how could they manage it? How could they convince Lee Woo-yeon to turn himself into the police? Would Lee Woo-yeon even listen to them? Their conclusion was that Lee Woo-yeon would never leave any evidence and would never voluntarily go to the police. "What are you going to do?" Rubbing his unshaven chin, Director Kim asked with a grave expression. "About what?" "Kang Young-mo." "What can I do? Am I a doctor?" "Let's buy some red roses and visit him in the hospital." Lee Woo-yeon. "Ha ha ha, just kidding. I'll handle it." "Where are you going?" "Where to?" As Lee Woo-yeon showed signs of leaving, Director Kim shouted, now anxious about every move Lee Woo-yeon made. "The spa. My skin's been rough with all these night shoots. The reporters will swarm in soon. See you later." As Lee Woo-yeon disappeared, casually waving, Director Kim cursed the day he impulsively cast the young man who had appeared out of nowhere. The storm hit hard. When news broke that Kang Young-mo had been attacked and was in the ICU, reporters pounced on it as the scoop of the century. Although his life wasn't in danger, he had a fractured skull and 4 broken ribs. The weapon, a brick, had been found near his collapsed body. The incident had happened so quickly that Kang Young-mo hadn't noticed anyone approaching from behind. Speculation ran rampant. Was it a stalker's doing? An excessive fan's tragic mistake? The media concocted dramatic headlines and theories, ignoring police statements that it was likely a mugging gone wrong. The drama's filming was suspended indefinitely, and a crisis meeting was held that afternoon among the director, broadcaster, and producers. Although Kang Young-mo regained consciousness, he couldn't move, so filming was postponed indefinitely, and the broadcaster decided to air another drama they had in reserve. Articles about Kang Young-mo flooded the internet daily. Calls from reporters overwhelmed not just his agency but also the agencies of other actors in the drama. The police stated that it seemed to be a robbery gone wrong, but people were more drawn to sensational and dramatic stories. Reporters, knowing this, were desperate to uncover the hidden truth. As Director Kim had anticipated, the press swarmed around Lee Woo-yeon. Journalists followed him everywhere, making it impossible for him to have a proper meal, forcing him to subsist on bread in the van. Inseop, who managed Lee Woo-yeon's schedule, found himself equally overwhelmed. With filming postponed, other engagements had to be rescheduled, leaving no room for long-term planning. Inseop's phone was constantly ringing with calls from reporters and confirmation calls, making it impossible for him to put it down. Meanwhile, Inseop quietly started preparing to leave. He contacted his landlord to put his apartment on the market and transferred money to the person who had lent him the name. He made a list, separating items in the rooftop apartment to either donate or discard. He even booked his flight ticket. The only thing left was to be quietly dismissed, which he thought would be easy. Seeing Li Wuyan approaching the car, Inseop steeled himself. So tired, Li Wuyan muttered as he got into the car, closing the door behind him. Manager CHA had something urgent to attend to, so today Inseop was driving. Li Wuyan had protested, saying that someone with a broken finger shouldn't be driving, but Inseop had insisted he could handle it. He needed to create a situation where they were alone. Taking a deep breath, Inseop gripped the steering wheel tightly. It was time to start his plan. Are you tired? Yes, people are crowding around too much. I expected this, but still. An article had surfaced online suggesting tension between Li Wuyan and Kang Youngmo on set, resulting in even more intense media scrutiny. Despite the staff and director denying any issues, gossip mongers focused on the scandalous story rather than the truth. Inseop knew who was behind the flood of articles, reporter Kim Hashin, though writing under a pseudonym. Li Wuyan seemed aware too but didn't seem to care, maintaining his stance that he had nothing to do with the incident. As time passed, Inseop began to suspect that Li Wuyan might be even darker than he had initially thought. If he hadn't witnessed the incident himself, the idea of Li Wuyan attacking Kang Youngmo from behind wouldn't have even crossed his mind. Li Wuyan was far more adept at acting than people knew. Today, however, Li Wuyan got into the car with a visible frown, clearly annoyed. His slightly furrowed brow indicated genuine irritation. Such days called for extra caution, but Inseop had no such intention. Feigning ignorance, Inseop asked, "Should I play some music?" "Yes, that would be nice." Li Wuyan was particular about his music. Knowing this, Inseop nodded and prepared to play some calming tunes, or so it seemed. Thumping club music blasted through the van speakers, loud enough to make other drivers turn their heads. "Do you enjoy this kind of music, Inseop?" Li Wuyan asked, puzzled. "Yes, I really like it," Inseop replied awkwardly. Curious about Inseop's uncharacteristic behavior, Li Wuyan watched him intently. The awkward silence between them was filled with the pulsating club music. Surprising, Li Wuyan began. "Yes? I didn't think you'd listen to this type of music. Do you like clubs?" Inseop had a list in his notebook titled 10 Commandments for Not Getting Fired by Li Wuyan. Now, he was doing the opposite. Pretending to enjoy the loud, thumping music, he nodded slightly. He had never set foot in a club, but lying seemed the only option. "Do you go clubbing?" "Ah, yes. Occasionally." "Where do you usually go?" "Gyeongdan." "Itaewon." Just here and there." Not wanting to be caught in a lie, Inseop kept his answers vague. "All right, let's go together sometime." "Pardon? What?" Inseop nearly hit the brakes. Glancing at Li Wuyan in the rearview mirror, he wore a look of disbelief. "You've been under a lot of stress. We should go blow off some steam." No. It's too busy with work and everything, and you're a celebrity. People will talk." Inseop stumbled over his words, trying to dissuade him. Li Wuyan raised an eyebrow at "people will talk," and Inseop nodded vigorously. "Who cares these days? It'll be fine. Just a drink and some fun. No one will notice." "I'll notice. I'll be the one stressing out." Inseop wanted to scream. He couldn't take back his words and was now trapped. He hoped Li Wuyan wouldn't find time for a club visit before he left. "How's this week's schedule?" "Excuse me." The drama filming was supposed to film most of it, so it should be clear, right? "Yes, but you have other engagements." "I'm fine." "But I'm not fine." Inseop regretted not choosing a different type of music, like trot. He could already see himself awkwardly dancing at a club. Inseop. Yes. Li Wuyan watched Inseop's deflated response and stifled a smile. Serves him right for playing such ridiculous music in the car. So, when will you sign the contract? Huh? Oh, yes. I need to think it over a bit more. Is there any condition you want? Li Wuyan raised an eyebrow, sounding disappointed. No, it's fine. You're my fan, and you work well. The contract terms are pretty good for the industry. Why haven't you signed yet? I still need some more time to think. Inseop planned to leave for the US next week. He needed to delay signing the contract as long as possible. Don't tell me. Li Wuyan narrowed his eyes and lowered his voice. Inseop's heart pounded as he stared straight ahead, unsure of what was coming. Don't tell me you hate me. What? Do you dislike working with me? Is that why you won't sign? No, it's not that. Sitting in the back, Li Wuyan could see everything. He watched with amusement as Inseop's ears turned red and his fingers trembled slightly on the steering wheel. Inseop, do you hate me? Li Wuyan pressed again, watching as Inseop's neck flushed pink. The warm breeze through the slightly open window felt like springtime. No, that's not it. There was a faint denial in his response. Not exactly saying he liked him, but not exactly saying he didn't. Li Wuyan was smiling, but something about the situation irritated him. He wanted to grab Inseop by the nape of his neck and shake him until he spoke clearly. Of course, if Inseop said he disliked him, he would rip his mouth apart. Then sign the contract, Li Wuyan said. I'll think about it some more, Inseop replied. Inseop's constant stalling inflamed Li Wuyan's twisted nature. Inseop, what are you doing after your schedule ends tonight? Li Wuyan asked sweetly, a gentle smile in his eyes. Director Kim had yelled over the phone, pouring out his anger on Li Wuyan. Are you out of your mind? With everything going on, you're going to a place like that. Who knows what stories will come out of it? Stay home and mourn, no, reflect quietly in your grief, whatever. Stress. Don't make me laugh. You don't even produce stress hormones, I swear. My finger. Cut it off if I'm wrong. Hey, don't hang up, let me talk to Inseop. Inseop, put Inseop on. Li Wuyan chuckled and turned off his phone. He then looked at Inseop with a worried expression and lied kindly. Director Kim said to have fun and come back. On the way to the club, Inseop repeatedly asked if it was really okay. Even late at night, Li Wuyan's casual outfit and sunglasses drew attention. People stopped and turned to stare as he walked by. There are so many people at the club, something could go wrong. As a manager, it's my job to stop you from going, Inseop thought, feeling the weight of his mistake in playing loud music in the car. He had plenty of stress, but not the kind that a club visit would relieve. In fact, he was more worried about the tasks he still had to complete before leaving for the US. Getting involved in such a situation with Li Wuyan was not in his plans. Truth be told, Inseop wanted to get fired quickly. He even considered slapping Li Wuyan to end things swiftly, though he knew that was impossible. It's been a while since I've been to a place like this. Feels good, Li Wuyan said. Which clubs do you usually go to, Inseop? Well, around here, but I can't remember the names right now, Inseop mumbled, looking around nervously. Li Wuyan crossed his arms, watching to see how long this charade would continue. What's the name of the club? Li Wuyan asked. The name? I can't remember right now, Inseop replied. You have a good memory, don't you? Didn't you write it in your notebook? Li Wuyan teased, knowing Inseop's habit of writing everything down meticulously. I left my notebook at home today. That's unfortunate. Li Wuyan stood still, allowing more people to gather around. He waited, staring at Inseop as if expecting him to remember the club name. Let's go anywhere, Inseop suggested. Wouldn't it be better to go to a place you're familiar with? Li Wuyan asked. The problem was that he had no familiar places. Inseop felt trapped, questioning his luck. As he stood there, pondering his life choices, Li Wuyan placed a gentle hand on his shoulder and whispered, "There are too many people here. Let's just go somewhere nearby." "Yes. That sounds good," Inseop agreed eagerly. Li Wuyan patted his head, causing nearby girls to squeal. Some girls even looked at Inseop with envy, seeing him as Li Wuyan's manager. "Follow me," Li Wuyan said, grabbing Inseop's hand. Inseop, unable to shake off the attention of onlookers, followed reluctantly. It was his first time receiving so much attention, but more than that, he was hyper-aware of Li Wuyan holding his wrist. At the club entrance, the staff recognized Li Wuyan and immediately called the manager, who came running out. The club was bustling with people trying to get in. Watching from a distance as Li Wuyan talked to the manager, Inseop briefly considered running away. "Come here," Li Wuyan gestured for him to come closer. Recognizing him, people started taking photos and shouting. Entering the club, they were hit by the loud music. "Stay close," Li Wuyan shouted into Inseop's ear. "What?" Inseop yelled back, pressing his hot ear with his palm. "I said, stay close," Li Wuyan repeated. Inseop nodded and followed him to the reserved VVIP room. Sitting down, Inseop marveled at the crowd dancing to the music. He felt out of place among the beautiful people. "Aren't we going to dance?" Li Wuyan asked. "Dance? Are we just going to sit here?" Inseop was actually relieved to have a place to sit. He didn't know that Li Wuyan had reserved the room in advance. "I thought I'd have a drink first," Li Wuyan said, filling Inseop's glass. Inseop accepted it silently and downed it in one gulp. The alcohol quickly went to his head, but he still had no courage to dance. "Another drink?" "Yes." They had a few more drinks. Li Wuyan watched, leaning back on the sofa, smiling. Inseop found the situation increasingly burdensome. He had planned to avoid personal interactions with Li Wuyan until he quit. He hadn't even intended to have coffee with him, let alone visit a club on a Saturday night. If this were a game, tonight would definitely be a losing move. "Shall we dance together?" "I need to go to the bathroom first." Inseop got up and hurried out of the room. He had hoped to clear his head, but the loud music and crowded space only made him feel more disoriented. Moreover, he couldn't find the bathroom. A well-built man with piercings tapped his shoulder. "Do you need help?" he asked. Relieved, Inseop asked where the bathroom was. The man motioned for him to follow. As they made their way, the man kept asking questions. "Is it your first time here? Where are you from? Your English is good, where did you learn it? What are you doing after this?" Inseop answered diligently, trying not to bump into people. There was a line at the bathroom, so they had to wait. The man stayed beside him. "Is this your first time at a club?" the man asked. Inseop was momentarily startled, wondering if he had broken some unspoken club rule. "Why do you ask?" "You just seem that way. You look really naive." Inseop wasn't sure if being called naive at a club was a compliment, but he thanked him anyway. After finishing in the bathroom, the man still didn't leave his side. "Want to dance together? It's really fun here. I have someone with me." "Is it a girl? A guy?" "A guy." The man smirked knowingly and wrapped his arm around Inseop's, leading him towards the stairs. "I need to go that way." "Come on, I'll introduce you to my friends," Tony said. "No, I have someone I'm with," Inseop replied. "Who cares about partners in a place like this? Let's go have some real fun. I promise I'll make it worth your while." Inseop tried to pull away, but the drunk Tony was insistent. He dragged Inseop to a room he had reserved. When the door opened, Insiop was greeted with a scene of entwined bodies, men and women engaging in activities too intimate for public view. Shocked, he instinctively apologized and closed the door. Tony chuckled. When he opened the door again, the occupants turned to look. Tony, who's the innocent-looking kid, one of them asked. My friend, Tony replied. Most of the people in the room were foreigners, with a few Korean women who were also speaking English fluently. Introduce yourself. What's your name? Tony asked. Caught off guard, Insiop hesitated before saying, Peter. This is Peter. That's Rick, Kevin, Jack, and Keith, Tony introduced. The men waved, though most were too preoccupied to properly acknowledge him. I'm Tony. I'm the boss here, Tony said. Ah, nice to meet you, Insiop replied. Tony, the kid looks like he's about to cry. Shouldn't you let him go home, one of the others said. Leave him be. He's just Tony's type, another replied. Insiop sighed inwardly. Why did he have to feel so out of place even at a club? Don't mind them. Let's have a drink and dance, Tony insisted. No, really, I should get back to my friend, Insiop tried to protest. Who cares about friends in a place like this? It's more fun with strangers, Tony argued. It's not a friend, it's someone I work with, Insiop explained. Your boss? I'm these guys' boss and I don't care. Trying to impress your boss for a bonus or something. Insiop looked down for a moment. Tony had a point, he didn't need to impress Lee Wuyan. In fact, it would be better to get on his bad side and get fired. Fine. I'll have a drink, Insiop conceded. Tony cheered and fetched a bottle from the table. He poured a generous amount into a beer glass and motioned for Insiop to drink it in one go. This is going to get me drunk. Insiop muttered to himself. Tony urged him to drink, holding his arm up. Knowing how irresponsible it would look if he stayed out and got drunk, Insiop took a deep breath and downed the drink. Already tipsy from the previous drinks, this one hit him hard. His head spun, and the room swayed around him. As he handed the glass back to Tony, the others cheered. More spirited than I thought, one commented. Really? Insiop mumbled, feeling his balance falter. Tony caught him, laughing. Are you planning to seduce him? One of Tony's friends teased. Our boss is really into him, another added. The comments barely registered with Insiop, who was struggling to stay upright. Let's go dance, Tony suggested. I can't dance. Insiop protested. I'll teach you, Tony said, taking Insiop's hand and moving to the rhythm. Insiop wobbled, barely managing to keep his balance. As he stumbled repeatedly, Tony pulled him into a closer embrace and began dancing with him. Is this what it means to act irresponsibly? Insiop wondered, looking up at the man holding him. You're cute, Tony said, meeting his gaze. What? Insiop replied. You're really cute. Having fun. Enjoying yourself. Truthfully, Insiop was not enjoying himself. The loud music pounded in his head, and he felt nauseous. He just wanted to lie down somewhere quiet. Isn't this amazing? Tony asked, but Insiop didn't respond. Instead, Tony pulled a small pill from his pocket and offered it. Want something to make you feel even better? What? It's not dangerous, no addiction. It'll just help you relax. Insiop shook his head firmly. No, I don't do drugs. It's not like that, Tony insisted. I'm fine. I think I should go back now, Insiop said, trying to leave. All right, all right. I won't force you, Tony said, holding up his hands. He popped the pill into his own mouth, washing it down with water. See? Just something to help you relax. In Korea, you have something similar, right? Like for exams. From a corner of the room, a woman straddling a black man's lap called out, "You wankyongshimwan." Yeah, like that, Tony said. Inseop wasn't familiar with the term, but he wasn't about to take a pill from a stranger. I'm going to go now, Inseop said. Why? Things are just getting fun. Let's go dance, Tony insisted. No, really, I have to go, Inseop repeated. Okay, but come here for a second, Tony said, motioning him closer. Not wanting to create a scene, Inseop leaned in. Tony grabbed him by the back of the head and kissed him, forcing the pill into his mouth. By the time Inseop realized what was happening, it was too late. He had swallowed the pill. What did you do? Inseop demanded. I told you, it'll make you feel good. Don't worry, Tony said. Tony, you're really going all out, one of his friends commented. Peter, just have fun with Tony tonight. Our boss is rich and treats his girls well, another added. Inseop's face burned with embarrassment. He finally understood why Tony had brought him here. He pushed Tony away and opened the door. Tony grabbed him again, pulling him back. Let's go dance, Tony insisted. I said no. Inseop shouted. Tony, let him go if he doesn't want to, one of the women said. He's cute. I want to take him out of here tonight, Tony replied, refusing to let go. Inseop struggled to break free. Just then, the door burst open and a woman's scream pierced the room. Everyone turned to see who it was. Is that Lee Wuyan? No way, why would he be here? Oh my God, it is him. The women in the room stood up, stunned. Lee Wuyan spotted Inseop, his lips curling into a frown before he clicked his tongue softly. Before Inseop could react, Lee Wuyan wrapped his arm around Inseop's shoulder, pulling him close. I've been looking for my manager. Here he is, Lee Wuyan said, his deep voice resonating from above. Tony scowled, glaring at Lee Wuyan. Who the hell are you? Lee Wuyan. Are you here for fun? One of the women asked. Want to join us? Another invited, her voice full of charm. I'd like to, but we need to leave, Lee Wuyan said, smiling apologetically. When Inseop wavered, he tightened his grip around his waist. You okay? Lee Wuyan asked. Yeah. I mean, yes. I'm fine, Inseop replied, wincing from the alcohol. You're Peter's boss? Tony asked, incredulous. Tony, he's not his boss, he's an actor. Haven't you seen him before? I don't know him. Must not be very famous if I haven't heard of him, Tony sneered. You're talking nonsense. He's the most famous actor in Korea, one of the women defended. Tony, you'd get stoned if you said that somewhere else, another added. Tony stood defiantly, glaring at Lee Wuyan, who smiled pleasantly. We are leaving, Lee Wuyan said. As he moved to go, Tony grabbed his arm. He said he'd go to the stage with me. Leave him, Tony demanded. Lee Wuyan swallowed his anger, maintaining his smile. There were too many witnesses. It wasn't the place to cause a scene. He gently tapped Inseop's face. Inseop, stay focused. Yes, Inseop replied, leaning heavily on him. Tony grabbed Inseop's arm and bent down to ask him. Peter, you said you'd come with me, right? Tell him. I'm going. Inseop muttered in clear English. You said you'd come with me. Want to join my company? I can offer a better salary than this guy, Tony persisted, clinging to Inseop. Lee Wuyan barely restrained himself from smashing Tony's head into the table. He's with me, so I'm taking him, Lee Wuyan stated firmly, attempting to lead Inseop away. Tony blocked their path again. You can't just leave while we are talking, Tony challenged. Fucking bastard, Lee Wuyan muttered under his breath. What did you say? Did you just curse at me? Tony shouted. The loud music drowned out Lee Wuyan's words, leaving others confused. Tony, Lee Wuyan wouldn't do that, one of the women said. Don't pick a fight, just let them go, another added. the entire third floor was a VVIP area. Money mattered, but without a club manager's recommendation, getting in was impossible. Causing trouble here would mean never being allowed back. Did you just insult me, thinking I don't understand Korean? Tony accused, shoving Lee Woo-yeon. Lee Woo-yeon's smile vanished, his fist clenching. Only In-seop, clinging to his waist, noticed. No. In-seop shouted, spreading his arms to separate the two. He faced Tony, speaking rapidly in English. I'm not going with you. I'm not a girl, I'm not joining your company, and I don't want to dance. In-seop paused, his face contorting in pain. And? Tony prompted. In-seop, shaking, finally added, I feel sick. As soon as the words left his mouth, Lee Woo-yeon lifted him, carrying him out swiftly.